Hello everyone, it's Val. Welcome to this video. Today I thought, before I'm going to show you any of my travels and where I'm going, I'm just going to show you where I'm actually from and where it all started and where I grew up. And this is Leipzig, it's my hometown. No one actually really knows much about Leipzig, at least every time people ask me where I'm from, I have to say it's Leipzig. It's the east of Germany, it's about 2 hours south of Berlin, and then they kind of have a rough idea where it is. So it's actually a really, really nice city. It's over. There's just someone unloading a truck there. So, excuse the noise. But yeah, we're former Eastern Germany. I think it's after Berlin actually the biggest city in Eastern Germany. Just under 600,000 inhabitants. Many of them, they're young, loads of students, there's loads of stuff going on here. Big university town, big music town, big sports town, loads of history, big trade shows, so there's a lot for everyone. So yeah, I'm just going to show you a few things. We go for a stroll around town and then maybe you can come as well and see my beautiful city. So this is one of the two main churches in the city center. It's the St. Thomas Church, and it's so important because this little guy, Johann Sebastian Bach, which is only like one of the most famous composers who ever lived, he actually lived in Leipzig for a very long time. He lived here and he wrote hundreds and hundreds of his pieces in Leipzig, and specifically for this church. So if you're a bit interested in classical music, you will know him, of course, and you will know quite a lot of pieces that have been written specifically for this church. And also the second thing that makes this church very famous is the St. Thomas Choir, which is a boys' choir, and it's one of the most famous boys' choirs in the world, really. They travel around everywhere, usually, if there is not a pandemic going on, and they're just amazing. They're so good musically and they look really cute. Here you can see one of them. Well, at least what they're wearing. So, it's little boys like this. And yeah, they sing amazingly. And this is the church where they perform. Every week, twice, Friday and Saturday, if they're not currently touring in Japan or the US or wherever. And the other important thing about this church is that this guy, Johann Sebastian Bach, he's actually buried here. So you can go inside and see his grave and lay some flowers if you want. And yeah, it's a pretty cool place. And even loads of people in Leipzig don't know that he's buried here and don't know what kind of important figure he is in the music scene. So yeah, definitely a place worth checking out. Johann, who you've just seen, but we also have great literature, which is Goethe. Well, Goethe, he was actually a student in Leipzig. if you don't know him, well, if you're German, you have to know him because like everyone has to read his stuff in school. But if you're not, Goethe is like one of the biggest authors in Germany who lived, I don't even know, like hundreds of years ago. And he was a student in Leipzig, and he wrote one of his most famous pieces in Leipzig, and about Leipzig, at least in parts. And it's called Faust. Faust is this guy, him here, and he is Mephisto, and he's the devil. And long story short, they make a pact, and Faust kind of thinks it's a nice thing, but then it all goes horribly wrong, and yeah, don't do a deal with the devil. But this is the setup because this down here, Albascala, is one of the restaurants which is in the story. And Goethe, when he wrote this piece, as I said, he was a student here, and he was always in the pub and drinking and eating here in this restaurant. So he featured it in his piece. And so in the story, Faust is also in the restaurant down here, and he's actually riding. He makes the deal with the devil, and then he's riding out of the restaurant on a cask full of wine, I think, like a mask. So that's the story. And every time you come here, you have to rub Faust's foot because that's good luck. That's what they do. Good luck for it. We had music, we had literature, and obviously to get to this excellence of performance, you need to learn your stuff somewhere. And Leipzig is a crazy university city. This is one of the main University of Leipzig, but there are 3 other public ones, and in total there are around 40,000 students in Leipzig, which, considering there are just under 600,000 people, is quite a big number. So the city is very young, it's very cool, it's very trendy, there's loads of stuff going on, loads of parties, loads of everything really. And this is one of the places where it all happens. So yeah, as I said, University of Leipzig, this building is brand new, but the university itself is over 600 years old. And quite some famous people have studied here. For example, Angela Merkel, Angie, our very own chancellor. So she has studied here, she had some great time here, I think. She is known for rebuilding one of the student clubs, so I think she had a pretty good student. So yeah, this is the university. This is one of the 2 skyscrapers I think we have in Leipzig, but it's very famous. If you see postcards or if you go in somewhere, mountains or something around Leipzig, you will always see this one, it's a big landmark. And nowadays the MDR, so like the regional broadcasting, basically, they're based in here. And actually in this black building over there, they have recorded the orchestra, the MDR Symphony Orchestra is based in here. And they've recorded some really, really cool film music in here. So for example, Cloud Atlas was the film music for that. So yeah, Leipzig, the city of many very clever people. So we had university, we had the big skyscraper, and now we are here at the Gewandhaus, which is Leipzig's concert hall. For me, obviously working in the music industry, one of the most important bits in Leipzig. World famous Gewandhaus orchestra is here. They play here every week usually, and yeah, it's a great hall. It's built, I would say like 50 years ago maybe. So it's not brand new, but it's great for what it is. It had been rebuilt a few times over the last couple hundred years, I would say. And also the orchestra is that old, so I'm not sure about the exact year, but it's quite old, definitely a few hundred years. And yeah, it's one of the best in the world. Also, them together with the St. Thomas Choir, they tour everywhere and they're really, really famous. And yeah, it's great to have an orchestra like that at your doorstep. And if we turn around, on the other side of the square, which is the Augustus Square, this is the opera. And yes, we all love the Gewandhaus, it's great, it's an amazing orchestra, but obviously everyone loves the opera even more. Not least because I used to sing there. So let's just go across and then I'll tell you all about it. So this is the opera. This is where I basically spent all my time growing up when I wasn't at school or sleeping. I basically lived in here. I was a member of the children's choir, and we would be performing in operas, and we would be doing our own operas, our own children's operas, sometimes performing with ballet, so it was amazing. And in the opera, the orchestra from across the square, the Gewandhaus Orchestra, they were playing there. So when I'm saying they're one of the greatest orchestras, I'm not just saying that because it's Leipzig, but I actually know that because I have been performing with them for years and years. So very, very fond memories. This is literally like my heart sinks when I see this place. I had the greatest time growing up in there. And yeah, it's a great opera. There's loads of different, as I said, there's ballet, there's opera. They also have the second venue where they do musical theatre. So just enjoy and always go to the opera. Gewandhaus is great, but go to the opera. So, as I mentioned, Leipzig is also very important historically. I'm sure you all have heard of the fall of the Berlin Wall, of the separation, East and Western Germany, and this whole peaceful revolution, as they call it. And that actually has started right here in Leipzig, and right here at this church. This is the St. Nikolai Church, and in the late 80s, in 1989, they started to have prayers each Monday. Well, they had prayers anyway, but everyone was kind of vouching for a peaceful revolution. They would come to the prayers on Monday evening inside the church, have a normal prayer, and then go home. And this got kind of more and more popular. More and more people started to come to the prayers, so at some point there was no space inside the church anymore and the whole square was full. And then at some point they started to go on like a mini demonstration around the city after the prayer. And in the beginning it was only a few people, it was like 10 people, 30 people, 50 people, but week by week it got more and more people. And in the end, towards the autumn of 1989, there were over 100,000 people who first came to the prayer, so obviously there was no space, no way they all fitted inside the church, so the whole city centre was full of people who went to this peaceful prayer. And then afterwards they all went on a demonstration around the city centre. And it's quite interesting because for us, well for me, I wasn't born then, so obviously I don't know what happened. But my parents were here. My parents were both in Leipzig. They were both. My dad was a student. My mum was already working. And a dozen of times we have talked about this whole situation and talked about the feeling and the atmosphere. And my mum always says it was such an eerie feeling, and everyone was so scared that it wouldn't remain peaceful, that it would become violent, that something bad would happen. So yeah, this is where it all started. They had the prayers, they had the demonstrations, and then at some point in the autumn of '89, the government back then of Eastern Germany, they said, right, okay, we can't deal with this any longer. Clearly the people want change. And that's how the fall of the Berlin Wall started. It was all right here. And right next to the church on the square, you have some really nice symbols who showed this time in history. Some of them right here on the floor. It's still daylight now obviously, so you can't see it, but in the evening all these little stones, they start lighting up one after the other, and this symbolizes how in the beginning it was only a small amount of people, and then more and more joined, and it got a bigger and bigger movement. And yeah, in the end they brought the change. And another symbol you can see over here, which is this water fountain, which is also right next to the church. And you can see the fountain is filled to the brim with water right here. And this demonstrates that it only needs one drop to overflow. So, you know, the people were so fed up in Eastern Germany and they so want to change so desperately So it only needed this one drop to kind of let everything explode and let the whole system go down. So what I was gonna say, it's not only called Market Square, but there is also a proper market going on here. So I think twice a week they have a massive market here, loads of stuff, loads of fresh produce from the area, which is obviously really nice. But most importantly, apart from like nice summer music festivals they're doing here, but the very famous Christmas market is taking place right here. It's the best Christmas market I've ever been in. I know I'm German, I'm biased, but Christmas markets here are just incredible, and especially the one in Leipzig is so nice. It's so busy, so crowded. Honestly, you shouldn't be afraid of people if you come here, but it's so nice. It's so beautiful, all the lights, all the food. I'm in heaven. So yeah, that's all taking place here. So this really is the place to be. And this is right where you should end every visit to Leipzig. This is the Barfußgässchen, which is like a little alleyway coming off the main square, and it's full of restaurants, and it's so nice, especially in the summertime. It's just buzzing. It's such a good vibe. It's so much fun here. The food is really, really nice. So you should definitely come here and have some dinner or have a snack and yeah, just enjoy it. And that's it, guys. That was my little tour of Leipzig, of my beloved hometown. I really, really love this place. It's such a great city to live in. And I'm always saying if I ever go back to Germany, I will definitely come back to Leipzig. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Also, definitely let me know when you're coming here, and I'll be more than happy to show you some more things and give you some insights. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to, and maybe we'll do some more of these. Bye!